Alrighty, good day, guys, and welcome to our week one battle of the GUU. You saw our draft analysis go up for this league 2 weeks ago, I'm pretty sure. Um, but yeah, so if you missed that, be sure to check it out, and you will see our full team there. Today we're up against Aquarius and the Chicago Strength Sap. They got a pretty interesting team. Um, it's one of those ones that I'm like, I feel like I could do alright, but then there's some mons that just like really don't do well. It's a bit of an interesting matchup, but I think we got this one. So yeah, just a disclaimer before we get into this. This match was played, I think, about 2 weeks ago as of time I'm recording. So if I forget some plays, we're just gonna be nice and we're gonna pretend that didn't happen. But yeah, without further ado, we're going to get into the team lineup. If you have forgotten, our team is the six you can see on the screen, which is Deoxys Attack, Charizard X, Slurpuff, Milotic, Landorus Eye with Sheer Force, and Umbreon. And we also had, sitting in the back, we had, Weavile. We had a Suncore of Torkoal and Venusaur. We also had Conkeldurr. And I'm pretty sure I'm missing one more mon, but that's not important. Let's getting into Aquarius's team. They got the Reshiram, Giratina Origin, the Celesteela, Clefable, Nidoking, Starmie, Swellow, Thundurus, Tyrion Form, Klefki, Medicham, and Mega Sharpedo. And that's a very scary team. But one thing is, like, the priority on that team isn't the greatest. Like, Medicham has priority, Swellow has Quick Attack, and I think Giratina Origin gets Shadow Sneak. Oh, and Mega Sharpedo gets Aqua Jet. But I didn't see the Shark coming here because I just didn't think it had the best matchup. I had a few things that could do quite well against it. But yeah, let's get into my team. So starting off, we've got quite a bulky DD2 attacks Roost Charizard. His Flare Blitz resists include Reshiram, they include Starmie, and they include Mega Sharpedo. And all three of those at a +1 Earthquake take an absolute dent. Starmie could be a bit of a problem, but I do think that we handle Water types and Psychic types kind of well, considering our Double Dark. We have a lack of Electric, I think. Let me just double check that. Oh, Sizzle was the one we left in the back. So we have Double Dark and Bug for the Psychic types. Yeah, so I don't think Starmie was coming. But the other two take a fat chunk. And if we can get that Sharpedo chip down, this mon can just win. Obviously got the Klefki, but that's why we're bulkier set this week to outspeed every non-Scarfer at +1. Is fastest mon being I think a Starmie. But yeah, that was the team. Moving on, next mon we have Choc Chip, our Slurpuff. This mon this week, yes, you can see there's a Klefki on there, which does hurt the Unburden set. And the Unburden is our speed stat is to outspeed every Scarfer at +1, I think. Or maybe I went for that. Max attack Adamant, because after a Belly Drum, Player off Drain Punch and Facade do a lot. Facade is for that T-Wave Klefki, because Drain Punch still does a whole lot to that thing at +6. Obviously, the unaware Umbreon can hurt this a lot, but if he's unaware, then he can get Toxic, and that's not fun times for their Klefki. So I think this set can put in a really good amount of work. Like, even if you just look at the six that they brought on the screen, Player Off does a whole chunk to a lot of things, and Drain Punch or Facade does a nice chunk to the rest. So yeah, pretty simple set. It was basically Klefki bait to get like a lot of damage off on that thing so that some of our other sweepers could actually go in. Speaking of another set, this is a 252-252 spread, and I hate these because they're very predictable, and it's easy to calc for. But I actually needed this for the Reshiram. If they brought Specs or Life Orb, I think it was Life Orb. I don't think I went with Specs because it was Specs Draco. Then I had a Slurpuff in the back. And my plan was to keep Slurpuff around until I figured out whether there was specs. If it wasn't, then I didn't really need it as a switch in. If it was, then I really needed it to deter Dracos. Nagini here is Recover Toxic Mirror Coat Scald. Scald was just hit his mons nicely. The resist is the Giratina there. We can Toxic, but then probably won't be wanting to stay in on there. Got Competitive. Didn't really need the Flame Orb this week or Marvel Scale. Competitive was mainly there for if things wanted to defog on us, because the likes of Reshiram and the likes of Thunderous are weak to rocks. The likes of Giratina doesn't like taking rocks chip. Sort of thing. I can't even remember now if we brought rocks. I don't think we did. Competitive was just there for... Look, I'm going to be honest, I don't remember. But yeah, this was our Reshiram check. Obviously we can like mirror coat that thing to oblivion. We can recover it off. If it does decide to go for Draco, then we can throw off a free Toxic and then recover and all that sort of shenanigans. It's also help versus a specially offensive Giratina or a specially offensive Celesteela. And I think with our EVs, we could actually live a Thunderbolt or a Volt Switch from the Thundy T, which we could then throw a Mirror Coat off and basically claim a KO if it was a Volt Switch. So that was nice. Next, we got Exterminator here. Deoxys attack with Life Orb. Wasn't a lot of priority. I expected rocks to go up and spikes and all that shenanigans because you got a Klefki, you got a Clefable there. So Sash wasn't really an option. So the only other good item on Deoxys is Life Orb. We are running a very physical set this week with Psycho Boost, Extreme Speed, Stomping Tantrum, Ice Punch. Psycho Boost was for the physically defensive Clefable and any other just like physically defensive mons that they wanted to bring. Stomping Tantrum into Ice Punch hit everything really hard. You've got the Ice Punch, hits the Torn, hits the Giratina, hits the Selly neutrally. That thing has no recovery, so that's always nice. Then you've got the Stomping Tantrum, hits the Klefki, it hits the Reshiram. And then Psycho Boost just is a nice nuke. Going max attack, enough speed to outspeed. I think there was one Scarfer that I crept. I'm not too sure. Might not have been though. Might have just been every non-Scarfer. And yeah, just threw the rest into special attack for a bit of a boost on Psycho Boost. Moving on, we got Crookshanks Umbreon here. Very nice set this week. Umbreon's becoming one of my favourite mons. This was just more of a blanket check. They had a very specially offensive team. So that's why we've got, again, a Calm Nature with 160 SPDF. It was to live a few calcs that I can't remember. Foul Play Moonlight, Toxic Heal Bell. Foul Play hit a lot of the mons, even Reshiram pretty hard. Giratina, of course, Toxic to throw some statuses. And Heal Bell, because there's a Klefki that likes to throw statuses. There's a Clefable that likes to throw statuses. So we don't want that happening. Synchronize means we can switch into like a Giratina going for a Toxic and then click Heal Bell and we're all good. Yeah, pretty simple set. And then last but not least, we got Toph Landorus. We've got we got a mixed set this week. We're running Life Orb with, I'm pretty sure we didn't creep the Thundy T because that thing was going to be Scarf. We crept the next mon down with max special attack and the rest thrown into attack. We got Rock Slide Earth Power because that coverage hits his team. Doesn't hit everything super effectively, but it hits his team very nicely. And with Sheer Force, Rock Slide is doing a lot more than Stone Edge. We got U-Turn and Defog there just as the last options. I wanted something to stop Hazard Stack in case Zard was looking really nice and not Mega Evolved yet. And then U-Turn for a bit of momentum. So that's the team builder. Let's get into the battle. Alright, so starting off the match here. I look at this team matchup and I decide to lead with the Landorus, as I think it has a pretty good matchup against everything except the mon that they decided to lead with, which was their Thunderous, and that was very frustrating. As you can just see from me accidentally running the cursor over there, this is quite a long match. And so sit back and strap yourself in. We're going to be here a while. Turn 1, she goes for the HP Ice on my Landorus, I was getting the hell out of there because that thing would hurt. I go on to Umbreon. Foul Play does a nice amount to this thing. That's one thing with Ubers is foul play, even on special attackers. Ubers have generally a decent high physical attack stat as well. Unless you're a Clefable, and this does -3, and I'm like, okay. So it's like that damage tells me nothing. It could be physical, it could be special, it could be like even offensive. It's, yeah. So I switch out, go into Toph here. Figure that Earth Power can do quite a lot. I expect T-Wave, because T-Wave is probably more prevalent in Ubers than Toxic is, just because speed control is really nice. Especially considering there's that Reshiram there. So yeah, I could, as you can see, I switch out into the Rat, as I decide to just defog these rocks straight away, see what the initial switch into this mon is. And yeah, so those rocks are now gone. I decide to hard switch out to bluff the Scarf. I could have U-turned for a bit of chip, but then that also risks a Scarf. Actually, can't be Scarf Giratina because of Grishasorb. It was mainly, just to bluff the Scarf. And this is the scenario I was talking about before, where I can switch into a Toxic from this Giratina, get the Synchronize off, Toxic this Rat, and go for the Heal Bell next turn. So yeah, that gets me back up to full. They take a bit of toxic damage. We take a bit of toxic damage. So this turn, they're going to switch out, fearing the Foul Play, which I have already shown, as I go for the Heal Bell. And I'm going to chime that bell, as you can see. Ring the bell nicely above Umbreon's head, and the Toxic is cured. So now my switch into this thing is, well, my Moonblast Resist at this point doesn't exist other than pre-Megad Charizard. And I thought about going for the Dragon Dance here, non-Megad, but I thought, not worth. I think I just want chip on this thing, find out what their Charizard check is, and just go from there. Side note, so I went for the Flare Blitz. Side note, while you're watching this, you will probably notice that this is a reused layout. I actually went for a Roost here, just expecting the switch. Probably not a great play from me in the end, considering that's a free Thunder Wave. Getting Charizard Parrot is not ideal. Just because, we do have Umbreon with Heal Bell, especially after they go for the Stealth Rock, and I'm like, okay, I click Flare Blitz, I two-shot you here, and I get fully parried. So that's really annoying. Not only is there a misplay which leads to a free T-Wave, it's now hacks which leads to free Stealth Rocks. And so Moonblast comes out and that does about 40% to me, which is really unfortunate because if that hadn't happened, then I could have gone for Earthquake and we would have been at this amount of health instead of now risking losing my Charizard. And Charizard does really nicely here. So I decided to switch out. And for some reason, I went into Deoxys. Let's just let this settle here. I have 20 base Spadef with a minus Spadef nature, and I switched this mon in, and it dropped. So yeah, that was the first KO of the game, and it's me losing my Deoxys attack. Not good. Toph comes out here just because you can do some good things. You can defog these rocks away. The Rat comes out here. I can't quite remember what I did. Did I defog? No, I went for Rock Slide just to catch some damage here. Sheer Force Life Orb Rock Slide. That does a little bit. It's some nice chip. Does about 25%. Now I use defog. I reveal that I'm not scarfed, which is probably pretty nice. On their end to know, as we eat this Shadow Ball, and this Shadow Ball actually does a lot. Because I'm minus Spadef, and so that takes me down to 47. And I'm like, this Landorus is looking really nice in the end game. As they switch out into Clefable, fearing the Umbreon, but I actually go for the U-turn here. There's no use not U-turning, because there's... Well, actually, I didn't realize. I forgot that I'd lose HP to Life Orb. As I go into Choc Chip here, and I'm like, I know this thing probably isn't unaware. a Moonblast isn't going to do a lot. Or I could just click the play rough here and get the kill. And Slurpuff is getting a kill. And in the draft stream, if you saw this a while ago, hang on, let me find this mod first. What's it called? Clefable. It is gone. And Celesteela comes out. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to take a heavy slam. So Choc Chip switches out. The best muffin that there is. As I go into Crookshanks. And it goes they go for a Flash Cannon. And that does more than I would like. But then I realize it's a crit. And I was like, okay, maybe it's just like a high roll crit from like a little bit of offense. And then the metal sound comes out. And I'm like, this is weird. What is this set? I have never seen this move before. Oh, you know what? Let's just go with it. So I click Heal Bell because I wanted Zard cured of paralysis to be able to set up on things like this and like the Giratina. And then the Autotomize comes out and I'm like, okay, so this is offensive. I'm at -2 SPDF, but this thing is scary and I can deal with it as long as I just chip this thing down. I figure that if it is offensive, it's not going to have leftovers and it's not going to have Leech Seed. So Slash comes out. This thing it does a decent chunk. I go for another foul play here, take it down to half. And at this point, was it this turn or next turn that I decided to stay in and go for one more foul play just to put in a range of pretty much everything. That takes me down to not much. I figured that I could live another one. So it takes this Sally down to 25%. And now, not wanting to give this thing a Beast Boost because that would be scary, I decide to switch out and go into my Milotic. Now that this thing probably doesn't have Toxic, doesn't have Leech Seed, I can eat hits from this. That still does like 50 damage, but that's not too bad. By the time I get my leftovers back, I can live another one comfortably as they switch out of the Celesteela and go into Rat. This thing is now at half. I go for a Scald. Just doing a little bit of chip damage. That does like 3%. We get some more leftovers back though, which is always nice. Putting us at a nice healthy amount of HP, which is really what we need this mod for, considering there is a Reshiram. I switch out of this, go into the Umbreon, just basically not wanting to let this thing do much, as they go for the Toxic. And as you can see, we've been in this battle for about 8 minutes now, and it's still 5-all. That's what happens when I like to play slow, and we're going up against a Stally team. So, and I sack off my hyper offense win condition. So, bit of bad play from both of us. And now, not wanting to let this thing do anything, I stay and click foul play as they go for a Shadow Ball, and Umbreon goes down, and we're starting to see a few more mons drop. I am down 4-5 at this point, but this mon is basically dead, and we get to go into our boy Slurpuff here again, which is phenomenal for us. And I think I predict the switch here. Yeah, I predict the switch, thinking that they might be like a Rest Talk set or something. Go for the Belly Drum, get to +6, and chomp on the Citrus Berry, and the T-Wave is probably coming out here, or the Flash Cannon, or something along those lines. The T-Wave comes out, and I'm fine with this, because it puts me back at neutral speed. This Choc Chip was designed to be a Klefki lure. Well, a Klefki, like, just to chip this mon down, as we get fully paralyzed on the Drain Punch, and that would have taken us back to full. It would have been really nice, but I end up sacking off the Sally here on the Drain Punch, and there we go. So it's back to 4-4. Slurpuff has all our kills at this point. This is a tier 5. They were like, why are you drafting this? It dies to every hit. But I'm like, you know what? This is alright. And here I stay in. I can't remember if I was faster than this thing or not. I decided to stay in because I didn't really have a blue flare switch in. This thing had popped its Belly Drum, Citrus, so there wasn't really much point keeping it around. So Slurpuff goes down, and this is my Milotic time. And it's now 4 against 3, and I have I pretty much dead Charizard in the back, so Milotic's going to have to put this Mon on its back. I go for the Mirror Coat, just trying to get rid of that Reshiram. I'm not going to play any games with it because it can just straight up win. I now decide to switch out and go into the Landorus here, and as I go for T-Wave. And I'm just going to pause the battle right here. Looking at this, I don't think this Mon can do too much against. Actually, I don't think it's this turn. So yeah, they switch out and go into the Rat. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I clicked Earth Power. They're levitating. Reveals I do have the Earth Power. And Landorus is now going to click Rock Slide. They know my full set. It's fine by me. As this Mon goes down, the Giratina. So it's now 3-on-3, and Zard is almost dead. It's probably not getting set up this game. It dies to pretty much everything. And so I decide to pull the switch out here. I can't remember if it's this turn, but yeah, I decide to sack off Zard here, because at 20% or so, it dies. I'm pretty sure this thing is scarfed at this point, this Reshiram. And so that means that, like, everything except the Klefki outspeeds me, and so it's like, I feel like I can handle the Klefki alright. So if we take Zard off the layout, it's Milotic and a very frail Landorus against the world, as doubles out here. As I pull the double into Landorus, and this was the play that I think is going to come out big in the long run. And I pull the double here, thinking they'll switch out, and then I click Rock Slide in front of this Klefki, because I see Klefki has been brought in on my Milotic every time, so that is the check. If I get this Thundurus gone, because I don't outspeed this Thundurus, if I get it gone, then I am in great shape. As Blue Phoenix comes out here, I decide now that the Thundurus is gone. I believe my Milotic can win. I decide to stay and see if this is scarfed. This thing is indeed scarfed, and it takes out my Landorus, who has put in the finest work, made a great prediction, and is now Milotic against the world. What can Nagini do here? I come here, I bring it in, and now that I know it's locked into Dragon Pulse, I can click Scald because I can live two of those quite comfortably. Click Scald on the Klefki, it does a little bit of damage. Probably going to be a 4-hit KO, probably going to be 4-hit KO. It goes for Heal Block, and I'm like, that means this Mon is not great, because I didn't think it'd have double status after seeing T-Wave. And I was hoping for a burn, because a burn there on one of those two Scalds would have meant this was a 3-hit KO. But now, no burn means it can chomp on the Super Berry, and this is getting kinda scary for me. As the Play Rough comes out, and the Play Rough miss, I see a Play Rough miss as like kind of okay for like not getting a burn at all until now. And then the Thunder Wave missed. I don't think that mattered in the end. That was a bit of unfortunate hacks, but I really don't think that mattered unless it was like playing into full paras. As you can see, the Thunder Wave comes off there. I think the play probably was to like try and Play Rough me 3 times, because I did have the heal block up. But yeah, so Milotic scalds down this Klefki eventually, and it's now Milotic. Well, it is my Reshiram check against against Reshiram. And this thing is scarfed. It is confirmed scarf. If they Play Rough 3 times with heal block up, I would have been in range of Draco and I would have lost. But now I can just, regardless of this heal block, I can click Mirror Coat and do a whole bunch. That does over half. Locked into Dragon Pulse, so I can freely click heal block. There's no games or anything to play, and my Milotic is going to pick up the big win for us, and that is Reshiram gone. Milotic gets 2 kills, Landorus gets 2 kills, and Slurpuff gets 2 kills, while Deoxys just comes in and dies. And as you can see by the date when this game was played on this screen, that was played on the 12th of June. It is now, the date of this video, this video will go live, I think, like the 13th of July, and I'm recording it like a week and a bit before. So yeah, it's as you can see, forgive me for forgetting some plays, but very good game to Aquarius. It's a narrow 1-0 for us at the start of this season. I think if I had Deoxys around for a little bit longer than like 30 seconds, I might have actually had a bit of an easier time at that one. But as you say, you live and you learn. It's fun team to build with so far, and it's been a fun team to play with. So moving on to next week, I have no idea who we're playing, so you'll just have to check back here and find out. I'll leave all the descriptions down below of people. There's a paste for it, I think. But yeah, go check them out, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.